It's quite an important announcement that I have to make today. I've been talking for the last few weeks about the upcoming G8 conference in Northern Ireland, which is due to take place on the 17th and 18th of June. Now, there are a number of issues, obviously, which are being developed there, particularly surrounding tax strategies, transparency, and the identification of beneficial ownership of companies. David Cameron, as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, is actually chairing the G8 currently, and he has set this out as the absolute priority for G8. As part of that, he has invited the Chief Ministers, Premiers, Prime Ministers of all the overseas territories and the Crown Dependencies to London on June the 15th for a conference surrounding these various issues. This conference is due to take place at Lancaster House in London, and I am writing to the Prime Minister today, accepting his invitation and outlining the Isle of Man's commitment to the various issues which he wants discussing. Now, the agenda which has been set out by G8 causes the Isle of Man very little concern, as it's very much in line with the strategy the Isle of Man has developed now for the last 12, 13 years. And therefore, we are very comfortable with the direction of travel. We believe that the time is absolutely right to pursue greater transparency in tax matters, greater cooperation, particularly with developing countries, and to ensure that the Isle of Man remains very much at the forefront of adherence to international standards in these matters. And indeed, we will be arguing, and have argued strongly, that there should be a genuine global solution to this issue, providing a level playing field for all countries to ensure fairness for all economies concerned with this. And therefore, today I am writing to the Prime Minister, accepting his invitation to the conference on the 15th. I understand that most other political leaders from the overseas territories and the Crown Dependencies have also accepted, and that there will be a wide range of other political leaders and business leaders from around the world also attending this conference. We have agreed, as I say, to the agenda that he has put forward. We are giving a commitment now to joining the Multilateral Convention on Mutual Assistance in Tax Matters, which is a further development of the automatic exchange of information framework, which will now enable us to negotiate bilateral or multilateral agreements with developing countries in a way we've not been able to do so before. You'll be aware that the Isle of Man has committed to FATCA, which is an automatic exchange of information arrangement with the United States and with the United Kingdom, and this takes our position on a stage further now to enable us to expand our network of tax information structures worldwide. This has been the focus of criticism from the NGOs, the lobbyists for the various developing countries' investment agencies, that there has been a deficiency in the provision of exchange of information. This now fills the gap, and we believe that the Isle of Man's commitment will be welcomed by the Prime Minister, and again will set the Isle of Man apart from those jurisdictions who have still failed to recognise the agenda as it develops. The conference is also referring to the better understanding of beneficial ownership of companies, trusts, funds, etc. We believe the Isle of Man is very well placed in knowing who the beneficial owner of all these entities are. We have, for over 10 years now, had a regulatory structure allowing for knowledge of the beneficial owners of trusts and companies. Indeed, the Isle of Man, I believe, is well ahead of the United Kingdom, the United States, and most other Western countries in having this knowledge available. The Prime Minister has asked for us to consider the possibility of a central registry of this information. We have agreed to review our own arrangements locally to see whether in fact the knowledge would be improved by having that central registry. So we have given a commitment to the Prime Minister that we will review the position, and if there is identified weaknesses in our current system which we need to improve, then we will consider changes to allow for that. This is a vitally important step forward in the battle against the abuse of international tax systems. It's a drive to introduce tax fairness in the international corporate tax structure, and it is a response very much to the not just the political but also the social demand now for fairness in tax matters worldwide. As I've said before, the Allan has been very much at the forefront of this. We've recognised the general movement for over 10 years now. We believe strongly, and I have advocated both as Treasury Minister and as Chief Minister, that the Allan should follow this direction. I believe our position has been fully vindicated, and it leaves the Allan in a very strong position to join with the international community now to tackle the issues which are being discussed not just on Saturday but at G8 on the 17th and 18th of June, and of course in September there will be a further conference of G20 where this position is going to be reviewed again. So it's an important announcement we're making today. The letter to Mr. Cameron is going off this afternoon, and we hope we will be able to make a constructive contribution to the conference next weekend.
Are you hoping you might get the chance to meet David Cameron?
Yes, there will be a meeting with David Cameron before the conference starts. It will be a relatively short meeting, but Mr. Cameron will be meeting the Crown Dependencies and the Overseas Territories leadership before the conference gets underway, and there will be a reception afterwards as well, so there'll be two chances to meet Mr. Cameron. But prior to that, on Wednesday of next week, I will be meeting David Gauke, the Treasury Minister with responsibility for tax matters, to discuss related issues as well. So there will be a number of opportunities next week to meet and talk to the key players in this developing agenda.
The UK media made it sound like you were being summoned, you and the rest of the offshores and overseas territories.
The UK media have a certain angle to promote. We have been invited to come along. The Isle of Man, alongside all the other jurisdictions, had the opportunity to say no. We could have declined the invitation, and that, I think, would have had to be accepted. But we believe the Isle of Man has got to behave responsibly now with this international debate. It's a hugely important debate for the long-term future of the Isle of Man, for the long-term future of our tax structures, and in particularly for the financial services industry, which is currently generating about a third of our GDP. So this is hugely important. It's not all going to be resolved next weekend. It will run for several months yet, I think, before this debate has finished, and beyond possibly. So if we want to have any ability to influence where this debate goes and influence the outcome, particularly in fighting to ensure this is genuinely a global response, that we do have a level playing field and the larger countries sign up to this principle as much as the smaller ones, we have to be at the table and we have to put our voice, make our voices heard very loud.
Are you united with Jersey and Guernsey or other offshore jurisdictions on this? Are you going as sort of as one voice?
I've been in constant dialogue with Jersey, Guernsey, the BVI, Cayman and other Caribbean jurisdictions for the last week or 10 days. We know where our respective positions stand. Certainly the Crown Dependencies are working very closely together. Although we will be making separate responses back to Mr. Cameron, they are likely to be generally in the same vein. So there has a great deal of work gone on over this last few weeks to understand each other's position, to understand exactly what the UK's position is. It has been a very, very fast-moving agenda, but I think we now have the understanding of where the various players stand on this, and I am very comfortable that the position that the Isle of Man has struck is one which leaves us in a very strong position in contributing to this debate.